Hi boys and girls, and welcome to your first math class at home. Okay, so just like always, we always start with this question. What language do we use in math class? I'll give you a moment to tell your partner what kind of language do you think we speak in math class. I'll pause. Yes, absolutely, you are correct. If you said academic language. Now, you might be saying, I forgot, what is academic language? Well, academic language is language that makes you sound very intellectual because you are super smart, boys and girls. So you want to sound it as well. Okay, examples of academic language is the strategy I used was, I noticed that, I can prove my thinking by, I know my answer is reasonable because. These are all examples of academic language. Academic language is different than casual talk that you would talk like maybe at recess on the playground, okay? Academic language is used for math class when we want to prove how intellectually smart we are, okay? So now, before we go on, I want to just tell you that we did do time before, but I felt that you needed a little bit more time practicing telling time. So this week we're going to be learning how to tell time. Okay, so some vocabulary words that I want you to become familiar with again. Hour. Okay, that's a long time. That's 60 minutes. Okay, that is probably longer than most TV shows, okay? Usually cartoons are about a half an hour, so imagine two of them. Minute is a short time, it's 60 seconds, okay? Hour hand is the short hand on the clock, and it tells you the hour. Minute hand is the longer hand, it tells you the minutes. AM means morning, and PM means afternoon or night, okay? So now we have different times. We have the analog clock, which we have been using to tell time. Now, you might be wondering, why do I have a 12 up here, a 6 down here, and then it goes all the way around? Well, those are your hours, boys and girls. But what are these numbers on the outside of the clock, you might ask yourself? Those are the minutes, boys and girls, okay? So when you tell the time, you look for the shorthand, which is the hour hand, and it will be pointing to these numbers or be in between these numbers. And then when you look for the minutes, you have to count by fives. So there are 60 seconds in a minute, okay? 60 minutes in an hour. How did I get that answer? Let's count together. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, okay? 60 minutes is in 1 hour. If you go all the way around the clock, that means it was 1 hour. Now, we're going to do some work with telling time on the analog clock, but also I just wanted to show you digital time. Digital time looks like this, boys and girls. You have the hour, then the colon, dot, dot, and then the minutes, okay? So, again, this is digital time, and this is the analog clock, okay? So now here's your problem of the day. Oh, and before we start, if you want to make your own clock, feel free to make your own clock on paper like I did, or you can even get a paper plate. Now, I didn't have fasteners to put in the middle to make my hands move, and you might not either. So we have to get creative, boys and girls. Use what you have at home. You can make your clocks, write down your hours, and then I have the shorthand, which is the hour hand. I just cut 2 straws, and I made the short one pink, which is the hour hand, and the long one, the minute hand, which is yellow, okay? And then they move because you're going to be able to move them because they're not glued down, okay? So this is a great way to practice telling time when the lesson is over, okay? So let's look at the question of the day, okay? So it says, Evan starts eating breakfast at the time shown on the clock. What time does he start eating breakfast? Okay, so take a good look at that clock. Now, remember, you are going to look at the shorthand first. That is your hour hand. It is in between the 7 and the 8. And remember, boys and girls, whenever it's in between two numbers, you always pick the smaller number. Except, there's always exceptions to rules, and this is one of them. When it's between the 12 and the 1, you go to the 12. But all the way around the clock, whenever it's in between two numbers, like you see on this clock, between the 7 and the 8, you go to the smaller number. So the hour is what, boys and girls? If you said 7, you are correct. But now I have to find out the minutes. Okay, and that's always a little trickier. So the first thing you need to know is that you're going to be looking at the longer hand for the minute hand, okay? And just like on this clock, if it helps you, you can write the minutes all the way around the clock, okay? So take a moment and try to figure out how many minutes is it, and then tell your partner what time it is. Okay, you can either pause me if you're not ready, or we can continue. Okay, so you should have said the hour is 7 and the minutes is, 5, 10, 15, 20. That 4, boys and girls, is 20 minutes. So you should have said the time is 7:20. And this is digital time, okay? Now we need to pick an AM or a PM. And we have gone over this in class already, boys and girls. AM, again, means morning, and PM means afternoon or evening, okay? So you should be familiar with these terms. If you're not, that's okay. This is why we're going over them again. Okay, so Evan starts eating breakfast at 7:20. Breakfast, boys and girls, is that AM or PM? Tell your partner. Okay, great. You should have said AM, because AM is the morning, and we typically eat breakfast in the morning, boys and girls, okay? So, different ways that we can figure out this problem. These are different strategies, boys and girls, okay? Evan starts eating breakfast at the time shown on the clock. What time does he eat breakfast? The strategy is picture it. Okay, some of you might have done this strategy. You can use the clock to find the hours and the minutes, okay? So the hour hand is between the 7 and the 8. The minute hand is pointed at the 4. Skip count by 5 4 times to reach the number. And that's what we did. 5, 10, 15, 20. 20 minutes, okay? Now, you can use a time you already know to find the hour and minutes. So the clock on this clock says 7:15, okay? And then you can just add 5 more minutes to this clock, and you know that 15 plus 5 is 20 minutes. So these are two different strategies on how you can tell time, boys and girls, okay? So now that we went over that question together, I have some work for you to try on your own, okay? And on your own, I want you to get a piece of paper or any notebook or paper, even in a napkin if you have no paper, okay? Just something to write on, and a pencil or a marker, it doesn't matter, okay? As long as it writes. Okay, so what I want you to do is write down on your paper what this time is. Okay, now you're going to go over it with your partner, perhaps your sibling or your parent or anybody who's at home with you, okay? Now, you're going to tell the time. Again, you are looking at the shorthand, the hour hand first, and it's in between the 8 and the 9. And then the minute hand is on the 7. So you're going to start at the 1, and you're going to count by 5s, okay? Now, please pause me until you have your answer, and then you can click back on to see if you were correct, okay? So the correct answer is you always pick the smaller number when it's in between two numbers. So I'm going to say 8:35. How did I get 35? I counted by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. So it's 8:35. And then you can practice writing that in digital time. Okay? And now we're going to see one more clock. Okay. Again, I want you to try the same thing, boys and girls. Okay? And you can number this. That was 1. This is 2. Okay? So what time is it? Pause me. And then when you're ready, unpause me and find out the answer. Okay, so the answer, boys and girls, it is between, it's a little past that 3. So we're still going to say a little past the 3. So it's between the 3 and the 4. We're going to pick the 3. So the hour is 3. And then the minutes, we look at the longer hand. 5, 10. It's 10 minutes. The 2 represents 10 minutes. So it's 3:10. And then you can practice writing that in digital time. And the last question of the day, boys and girls. You see 4 clocks here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay? So I want you to find 11:40. Okay, one of these clocks says 11:40. So pause me right now and look at before you pause me, look at all the clocks. And there's only one that says 11:40. Okay, and then you're going to write down your answer on your paper. Okay, so pause me now and come back when you want to find out the answer. Okay, so we're going to look at the first one. Well, we want 11:40, and the hour hand is between the 10 and the 11. And you always pick the smaller number, so that would be 10. And it's on the 8, so let's count how many minutes that is. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. That's 10:40. That's close to 11:40, but it's the wrong hour. 2. Okay, it's between the 11 and the 12. So it would be 11, which that sounds really familiar. Okay, we want the hour to be 11. And then let's count around again for the minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. Okay, again, 11:40. Okay, and there you go. So number 2 is the correct answer. You can go over number 3 and number 4 with your partners and just tell them what time it is. Practice telling time, okay? Now, when you can pause me and when you're ready for the answers, unpause me to see if you were correct. So number 3, boys and girls, it's close to the 8. So you might be tempted to say 8, but it's not quite on the 8 yet. So you still are considering this in between 2 numbers. So the hour hand is 7. And we need to find out the minutes. Now remember, never confuse the hour hand and the minute hand. The hour hand is the small hand, the minute hand is the long. Now we're going to go around the clock and count by 5s for the minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So it's 7:55. Okay, can anyone, as a challenge question, can anyone tell me what's the next hour in 5 more minutes? What hour will it be? Yes, you guessed it, 8 o'clock. Okay, and now the last clock. Pause me, and when you're ready, turn me back on so I can tell you the correct answer. Okay, so the correct answer is, again, I look at my small hand for the hour hand. It's between the 11 and the 12, so I know it's 11. That is your hour. Then I'm going to count around the clock by 5s for the minutes. 5, 10, 15, 20. So it's 11, which was the correct hour, but 11:20, not 11:40, okay? So this is why this wasn't the answer, but it's really good to practice telling the time, okay? Now, another suggestion I could give you is to go back to the clock that you made, or you can make it now, and with straws, with popsicle sticks, with anything, even like 2 little strips of paper, make one short and one long, and you can practice telling time, okay? You can make different times and practice with your partner what time it is, okay? That's practice makes perfect. That's how you're going to get used to telling time, okay? So if I took this and I made it in between the 9 and the 10, and I took this straw, and you know, it might roll, that's okay, but you're putting this on a flat surface, okay? And then I'm going to put my minute hand on the 2. We know that it's 9 because it's in between two numbers, which makes you pick the smaller number for the hour, 9. And you don't say 9, 2. No, you count by 5s for the minutes. 5, 10. So it's 9, 10, boys and girls. So I suggest that on the days that we don't have math, you work with your clock and practice at least 5 different times a day, okay? So practice makes perfect, and I'll see you back for another math lesson this week on telling time. Okay, have a good day. Oh, and one more thing. I'm sorry, boys and girls, I forgot. Take a picture of your work that you were writing down the answers, and please send them to me. I would love to see your work, and that's how I'm going to give you a class participation grade, is if you send me a picture, you'll get your participation grade, okay? Just a picture of the last 3 problems that you did when you were pausing me and unpausing me, okay? Have a great day. Bye-bye.